Hi, my name is Gary Purcell, owner here at Outward Bound Recording Studio / also pastor of the Antioch Missionary Baptist Church in Rocky Mount, Virginia. We're here today to talk about media ministry and the relationship and the importance of media when it's joined together with the congregation of the house of worship. Thank you once again to join us on this impartation. We're here today, and I have this special person in the house with us in the Upper Bound Recording Studio, Mr. Eric Jones. And I can say a lot of things about him, but I would rather Eric go ahead and introduce himself to the people.
Good afternoon. Eric Jones is my name. Live sound engineer, as most people know me from Anthony Hamilton. I do a lot of other artists. Leela James is one. I've done Keith Sweat, Isley Brothers, Chrisette Michelle, mostly R&B. But my main thing, I'm trying to teach the people, the guys that want to learn about live audio. That seems to be the thing. Now churches are getting bigger. Sound systems are getting a little more complicated. They're getting more demanding, I would say. Everybody wants a good mix.
Yeah.
So my thing now is going out, teaching, training, trying to get the best out of the systems that's in each church. So that's my thing now.
Good, great. Well, we have the right person in the house on this afternoon for this impartation series about media ministry. And so the big question, it is, what is media ministry and how it relates to the house of worship?
Well, media ministry now is getting to be what I would say is advertisement, more so for the church and the way to get the word out. Used to be we only had cassette tapes after service.
I remember.
So now you've got internet, YouTube, Facebook Live, DVDs. Now we're getting services on USB flash drives. So media incorporates everything from video, lighting, audio, recording, even down to PowerPoint now, because messages are now being put up on the screen.
Exactly.
What Pastor's saying is on the screen.
Exactly.
So now it's like a TV production now. So you have to have people in place that can understand each and every aspect and be ready to make it happen.
Well, good question. That was a good lead in to my next question is that how do you, as a chief house engineer in the house of worship, locate qualified people for those positions? How do the basic church, because some that may listen to this series will say, well, I hear you, but how and where do I go to try to find these qualified people? How do you do that?
Well, church, as we all know, first of all, ask for volunteers. Anybody that feels led to be a part of each ministry. But everybody don't have the ear for sound. Everybody don't have the eye for the camera. Everybody don't have the skill set to be on the computer, moving between the PowerPoints and understanding all of that.
Exactly.
So you have to have at least one or two main people that know the whole aspect, and then they sort of put people under their wing that really want to learn, and sort of train them and teach them, and then start letting them take the reins, as I say.
That's great. That's an important thing that you said about the training, whether it's in-house training from those who are qualified like yourself, or you could suggest as an in-house engineer and working with the organization of the church to even send them to outside sources to be taught to as well.
Yeah, some of the outside sources are just sales pitches. Once they actually get there, they just trying to sell a product.
Gotcha. Exactly.
People have to understand you can't get it overnight, and you won't get it once a week. You have to be there on rehearsal night. You need to be there before service. So it's time. Do anything you do.
It is.
The more time you spend, the more it soaks in, the better you are.
Great. Now I'm going to move into an area where it hits home for me, being pastor of a church, is that the relationship between the pastor and his vision of the ministry of the church. tell them how important it is for the house engineer or all of those employees, if you will, or those people who are volunteers, and how much that is important for them to relate, for them to even understand the direction and the ministry of the house of worship when it relates to the pastor. Because we both know that, we all know that the word comes from God,
Yes.
and then it goes to the shepherd of the house, and then he gets the vision. Then it's dispersed out to the rest of the congregation.
Right.
Can you let them know how important it is for those persons who are working in the house of worship in this medium, is to know the vision of the pastor? Because what I believe what you're actually doing is that you are painting the picture of the ministry of the pastor,
Right.
and how it goes forth. And if you don't understand that the vision and the ministry of the pastor of the house, then it's kind of difficult to make a painting. I'm not just a pastor and musician, but but I'm a painter and an artist at the same time, and I studied Picasso and a lot of other different ones. So if I don't know abstract art and I have not studied it and know where it's coming from, it's hard for someone to come to me and tell me, paint me a Picasso.
Right.
So what you're saying is that they need to know and understand the vision of the pastor.
Right.
How do you obtain it, being the chief media person and conveying that down to the rest of the crew?
Well, step one, you have to know your pastor or have a relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are scared to approach their pastor,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be sort of thick-skinned too, because if you do something that they don't like and they sort of put you on blast, as I would say, you can't run and hide.
True.
You can't tuck your tail and say, I quit.
Yeah.
You just got to understand that he likes it a certain way.
Yeah.
And you got to talk to him about that.
Mm.
What do you like? The main thing now with pastors is the monitors.
Yes.
That's number one.
Amen.
Get their monitors
Amen.
right,
Amen.
and you good to go.
Won't have any problem out of me if my monitor is right.
Yeah. So understand what it is that he wants, or he wants to hear or feel
Mm-hmm.
from his monitors, and try to get that first. And from that, understand what he likes. Otherwise, musician-wise, does he like organ? Does he want more keyboard? So you got to sort of learn his signals and understand what he likes and don't like. Because some of the praise and worship leaders want all the background vocals in there.
Absolutely.
Pastors don't want background vocals in there. So now we got to come to a happy medium and sort of work that part of it out too. It's not only pastor, but you got the worship leaders, background singers, band. Band's got to understand
too.
Yeah, it's not about you.
Right.
It's not about you.
Yeah. You said a mouthful right there. It is not about you. It's first of all, it's about Christ.
Yeah.
And that we're all on the same team. And we're trying to strive in excellence. And that's a good thing, is that everyone from the engineer to the praise and worship leaders, the singers, the musicians in the house, so forth, everybody needs to understand that it's all about God. It's all about Christ first. And we want to do things that are excellent, in the kingdom of God. And that's why it is so important, I believe, because I'm a musician as well, a guitarist, and you are a bass player yourself. And so you understand how that works in the house. And that's very important. I'm so glad that you're here to talk about this. Is there anything particular you want to mention that's important to you as you're ministering? Because that's what I think they need to understand, is that just sitting behind a board or whatever and turning buttons is not what it's all about.
Not what it's all about.
When you're in the house of worship. And just, let me know a little bit and let us know your relationship in the house of worship as you're doing your job.
Well, as I'm doing my job, first of all, I'm old school, as they say. Came from a small church, New Covenant Holy Church in Burlington, where I'm still a member, Bishop Harry Corn. And we only had organ, drums, and I played bass. So that was it. And we used to do the workshops, go to workshops, and it would be all day. They put choirs together, sing, but they would teach about what it is you're supposed to be doing. What's the bass player's role? What's the drummer's role? What's the organ player's role?
Man.
Well, in all of that, musicians, we were the accompaniment for the singers. We were not the main
attraction.
Attraction.
Main
There
attraction.
you go, main attraction.
Main
So
attraction. Yeah.
Me and my brother had to hook me up with this
Yeah.
one day, because I played in quartet groups.
Mm-hmm.
Man, y'all too loud.
Yeah.
Y'all drowning out the vocals.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, fine. So now my mindset now is vocals first.
Right.
Make sure you lead vocal.
Yeah.
Make sure, and I try to make sure you can understand the words they're saying. The word is what's supposed to be important in church
Very
service.
important.
The words to the songs,
Mhm.
what they mean, and what pastor's saying.
Mhm.
So the words and clarity of the
Mhm.
the vocals is supposed to be up front.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I try to do first. Make sure all my vocals are being heard. Then you just blend the music up under that till it feels good to you.
Somebody's getting some learning here today.
Yeah.
This is going to bless somebody. Engineers that are in the house, but not only engineers, and yourself as musicians and all of that is understanding your lane,
Yes.
understanding your role. Everybody plays a role in the house of worship, and the understanding of that cannot do anything but breed success. Now I'm gonna go over into another little area that deals with this too as well, because now I had some of this experience. A question to come up to me, in my church on the past Sundays that during discussion, and someone mentioned says, "Well, Pastor, you say that we need to be here, at church, every Sunday, but then they says, well, Pastor, I don't have to be in the house of God, to be with Christ." Well, to the extent that is
That's
true. He says I could stay at home and watch television,
Okay.
or watch a streaming live on some things. Now, I hope we can come into an agreement on this one here. It is that there's nothing like the experience in being live in the house of worship.
Right.
As the Spirit of the Lord is moving in there. Media ministry is definitely important. And we can go back, I'm old school too. But we had to think about the sick and the shut in.
Right.
So those that would not able to come to church, they had an outlet. So we had a part of the media back then, which we only had cassette tapes.
Right.
So we would make the cassette tapes, and we would copy all of those, put the message on that or the service, and then someone would deliver it to their home.
Yeah.
But now with technology and everything, and you're the perfect person here to talk about that, is that this is just another extension of that sick and shut in. Yes, you can be blessed by what you see on TV, being in a service, but I am a witness that there's nothing like being there in the presence in the house of God. So, what do you think about that? Or what's your take on?
Well, let's
on
back
that?
up a minute. What if the media people decided to stay home on Sunday? And nobody turned the camera on, and you sitting at home?
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking at?
Well, the Bible even says, this is how deep that this is, how important that it is to understand this relationship with media and ministry, is that the Bible says that when the Spirit of the Lord comes, it comes with the quickness. It's sudden. It happens right now. And when most people have gotten blessed, it didn't come over little pieces and bit pieces at a time. But when they was seeking the Lord and there was a need, they got blessed instantly, right then. So that point that you're making, what if, like you said, if the media people decide to stay home?
Right.
So that message that went forth in the house of God on that particular day was your blessing. But you stayed at home because you thought that maybe I can get it at home. But God didn't mean for you to get it at home. I'm preaching now. He meant for you to be in the overflow. He meant for you to be in the presence of God when that fresh rhema word is being brought to the house. So that is so perfect. So can we say that the media ministry enhances what God is already doing in the house?
Yes. There's nothing like a day when everything clicks and works together.
Same time.
Praise team singing, everybody's on key, the band is on point. You can just feel everything when it comes together. And on the flip side of that, if you have a bad day and something starts squealing or the cameras go out,
Been there.
the video screen starts flickering,
Flickering,
it messes your attention up. Your mind is like,
Now, see, you're taking us in a whole nother place right now about that with the media ministry, is because it let people know how important and how skilled
Yeah.
that persons like yourself have to be, because I can say this, and you're a musician as well. When you don't study the material, and you come to the house of worship and you're with the choir, and then there's an important part where the bass does something or the guitar does it, and I haven't studied what I've done,
Right.
and all of a sudden I play something that's contrary with what the song's supposed to be.
Right.
Now it distracts everybody,
Right.
even the director, you know. And like we talked about before, is that we have some musicians thinks that I'm not pouncing on musicians, but I'm a
Right.
musician. I'm just saying they think it's showtime at the Apollo,
Right.
and what it does is that it takes away from the household of worship and the worship experience. So we must be mindful of those things, that it takes skill, people in the house.
Plus,
and
we
just
have to be on one accord.
one accord. Amen.
One accord.
Amen.
From the pastor
Mm-hmm.
to the cameraman,
Mhm.
to the girl in the back, or the guy in the back working PowerPoint.
Mhm.
Everybody needs to be on one accord.
Mm.
And the key is being there, being present, and being prepared. And you can't run into church 5 minutes before service and think you're prepared.
Mm.
You know, service starts at 7:30 for us. I'm there at 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, getting the mics together, checking battery, doing mic checks, turning the speakers on, making sure everything's on and ready before the praise team and the band even walks in the church.
Preparation.
Yes.
Preparation.
And that's where we have to be committed. Even the volunteers, they can't just lag in. You can't just show up at the last minute and run and jump to your post. You have to get there early in case something doesn't work right. You know, this is electronic stuff.
Yeah.
There's always something bug that could be in the system. And you don't know if the people that cleaned up this week knocked the cord loose. That has happened.
Exactly.
You know.
And there you go, running
Yeah.
around, you know, troubleshoot.
Troubleshoot.
You know, running your line, trying to see, okay, what is happening here. You find out midway in the service or whatever that the cleaning person with a vacuum cleaner didn't hit an LXR cable somewhere, knock something loose. Yeah. And so you definitely have to be there early. And the same relationship it is, you know, with the pastor, you know, running into the church, you know, trying to get a word from God right then that Sunday morning.
Right.
Well, we have to prepare, and we lay before the Lord after the last service. On that Sunday, we are already moving toward the next service, you know. So, and we have to be prepared too as well. Well, is there anything else that you want to share with us today? I mean, I'm having a ball here because, you know, Eric Jones is not just an accomplished sound engineer, house front engineer, bass player, all that stuff. But I can say that Eric Jones, you know, is one of my great friends.
Oh, yeah.
And we have been friends for so many years. And I'm just overjoyed every time that I turn on the television set. You know, if I'm looking at a concert, you know, that may be at Radio City Music Hall, or it's in Vegas, or wherever big event that it is. And yeah, Pastor do listen to all kinds of music. And then and then how I'm overjoyed when I know that what I am hearing, that my good friend, Eric Jones, who I know is a God-fearing brother at the same time, you know, how God has elevated you to that level. And I kind of know your road too as well. It didn't come overnight.
No.
It didn't happen overnight. But I know you prayed about it, and you seek God, and God has opened up the doors and showed you the way.
Yes.
Music ministry, and also media ministry. Media ministry. How important it is to the household of worship. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this impartation series that we had here about media ministry and how it relates in the households of worship. We're looking forward to maybe part 2.
Part 2.
So thank you so much.
Part 2, we can probably get a little deeper into actual the way things run.
The way things run.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's important.
And my word for the day is spend time with your craft.
Amen.
Don't be lazy. Don't show up at the last minute. That's the one thing I'm finding with churches that I go to. No, I'm not going to say all of them, because some of them really trying to be better, do better. Sound checks. Sound checks are now rehearsal. They were supposed to rehearse on Tuesday and Thursday. Sunday morning, now we're rehearsing.
Now we're rehearsing.
You know, sound check. We're supposed to be trying to get it together, make sure everybody can hear what they need to hear.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
so time, we got to spend time. This time, we gotta sacrifice that. If you want to do better, you gotta put time.
You got to put time in.
So the word for the day for me is put time in.
Great. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, you've heard it from Mr. Eric Jones, audio engineer extraordinaire, but also, most important, a true man of God. Thank you for joining us for this invitation, and be blessed.